conference hall. So, but this technology is a help to us. First of all, I wish to welcome Mr. Malhotra, Chairman, our Chairman Divisional Board. Would you like to speak a few words, sir?
Your microphone is not audible.
Sir, you are not audible.
I am not audible?
No.
No,
Sorry.
Mr. Malhotra. Hello. Malhotra sir, you are not audible. Still. No, sir.
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Very good afternoon to all of you. I think let me thank the West Bengal State Center for organizing this technical webinar on a recent study of nanomaterial and its implication in general. The topic of this webinar is very, very pertinent in today's condition, because as you all know that nanomaterial, because of its unique physical, chemical and mechanical property, has its wide application and its application in a host of industry like aviation and space, chemical industries, optics, solar, hydrogen, fuel cell, batteries, sensor, power generation, aeronautic industries, building construction industries, automotive engineering, consumer electronics, thermoelectric devices, as well as pharmaceuticals, etc. So because of its unique property, it has a very, very vast implication and application in host of the industry. And this is a material not only for today, but tomorrow. So I thank the West Bengal State Center for hosting this webinar on a very, very interesting topic like nanomaterial. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for your kind words and very relevant expression of the subject matter. We are sorry that our Mr. Sandeep Dev is not able to attend because of he's indisposed. So I welcome all of you who are here, and also welcome Raju Bhomik and Raju Boshak. I'm sorry. And so we now begin with the topic. I wish to introduce the first speaker, Dr. Rajat Banerjee, who is a senior scientist in Central Glass and Ceramic Research Institute. He is going to talk on nanotechnology, a boon or bane in society. I think the subject is very relevant, and it was just mentioned the importance of the subject. It is not only beneficial, but also it has its side effects. Dr. Rajat Banerjee did his PhD from Jadavpur University. He specializes in nanotechnology, nanomaterials, its synthesis, its structures and applications for coating, medical applications, and also he is an expert in fracture mechanics. He worked as a fellow in Otto Scott Institute, Germany, NIST, USA, Maryland University, USA, and he is a Heritage Fellow at the Polytechnic of Torino, Italy. So you can see his accomplishment. He has 45 papers published, and he has helped 5 students for their PhD degree. He won the best paper on the 17th Glass Congress in Beijing. He received appreciation from Harold Proto, Nobel laureate. He is received lifetime award from Walgood S&T Association, India. So I will request Dr. Rajat Banerjee now to speak on his subject. I wish you keep your time in mind, because we have only 2 hours to complete the whole session. So with these few words, I welcome Dr. Rajat Banerjee.
Yeah. Good afternoon. Can you see my PPT? Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Make it full screen, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, fine.
Yeah. At the very beginning, let me thank Mr. Mehrotra and also Professor Shakar, who has given me a chance to speak in this webinar. It is indeed a great pleasure to place some of my views on this particular topic. This particular topic I have chosen, but basically it will be a very popular talk. I am not going into very intricate of scientific research. It is basically a very popular talk, but I will show how nanotechnology is really helping us in day-to-day's work, and most importantly, the subject which has been flourished in nanotechnology is the medical science. In the medical science, the nanotechnology has been a boon. Really, it is a boon, and I will give you some insight of how it has been done. So, with this small words, let me start my lecture. It is a recent study on nanomaterial and its implication in general. So, the first slide is the Nobel laureate Richard Feynman. There was a radical lecture in the American Physical Society, December 29, 1959, whereas the physicist Richard Feynman said a very interesting word. He said there is plenty of room at the bottom. It's a very fuzzy word, something which is a sentence, something which is very difficult to understand at that very moment. What does it mean? It means physically it should be possible to manipulate individual atoms using top-down engineering methodology. Feynman is of the opinion that we can fabricate machine at nanoscale that arrange the atom the way we want. This lecture was the birth and the idea and the study of nanotechnology. It was Richard Feynman who first indicated that there can be a thing called nanotechnology, a subject called nanotechnology, with which we can play with the atoms and molecules. Feynman offered 2 challenges with a price of $1,000. The first challenge, construction of a tiny motor. In November 1960, William Mclean, a Caltech graduate, solved the problem using conventional tool. The second challenge was the most difficult challenge, scaling down letters small enough so as to fit the entire Encyclopedia Britannica on the head of a pin on a surface 1 by 25,000 smaller in linear scale. In 1985, Tom Newman, a Stanford graduate student, successfully reduces the paragraph of Tales of Two Cities by 1 by 25,000 and collected the second prize. Now, this sounds to be very interesting because, you see, even if I one paragraph or 2 paragraph of this thing, if I write on a on the top of a pin, it just to visualize it becomes a very difficult thing. But this man has done it, and in my next couple of slides, I will show you, I will tell you how it has been possible. Feynman's observation was it should be possible in principle to make nanoscale machine that arrange the atom the way we want. Possibility of solving the doctor. This concept involved building a tiny, soluble surgical robot. And let me tell you, this is in fact, this has come now. The surgical robot is there through which the doctors are now doing certain surgery with a very complicated surgery they are doing with the surgical robots. So, what Feynman indicated, the idea of a nanotechnology, it is a disruptive technology, a small item which is not visible to human eye. It is the study of controlling and manipulating matter, atom and or molecular scale. It deals with structure starting from 1 nanometer to 100 nanometer. And as usual, we know the 1 nanometer is equal to 10 to the power minus 9 meter. The average width of a human hair is of the order of 1 lakh nanometer. A single particle of a smoke is of the order of 1000 nanometer. Now, the question is, you may be thinking that, oh, these are very easy things. Everybody knows this thing. I have started saying all these things because, as it is from the very beginning, I'm telling that this is not a very intricate scientific lecture. I have chosen a very popular lecture so that even a person who is not from the field of nanotechnology can understand what actually nanotechnology is. My next slide. What happened? Just a moment. No. No. Just a moment. Where has it gone? Yeah, can you see it? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please continue.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So the classification, just a moment, let me. Yeah, the classification is based on the number of dimensions which are not confined to the nanoscale range. When I'm talking about 0 dimension, it means all dimensions in the X, Y, Z are in the nanoscale. Okay. Now, if that is the case, then the concept comes into the mind that what does it mean? You see, everything which we see, we can see it, but there are certain things which we cannot see. That doesn't mean that thing has got no dimension. Like virus, which we cannot see, but it has got a dimension. So in that case, those type of things we are calling in the nanotechnology, we are calling it as a 0 dimension. That is in the XYZ scale, the dimension is in the nanoscale. So that is why we are calling that one as a 0 dimension. When I am calling about 1 dimension, it means 2 dimension at nanoscale and the other dimension is not. That is XY in the nanoscale, Y is not in the nanoscale. It is in the microscale. And when I'm talking about 2D, then 1 dimension at nanoscale and the other 2 dimension is not in the nanoscale. This is how we define it. What is happening? Why it is? Why it is blocking? Sorry, I'm really sorry. Sometimes it is blocking up the way. Yeah, so this is the one dimension. We will call this one, later on I will show you that this is called the quantum dot, which we are seeing it here. This we call it as a one dimension. Sorry, this is called, we call it as a zero dimension. This is the one dimension, that is carbon nanotubes and nanofibers. These are all one dimension. And two dimension is basically a thin film, which we call it as a two dimension. So how to obtain a nanomaterial? There are many ways of obtaining it. One is the top-down process, that is the breaking down matter into more basic building blocks, frequently used chemicals or thermal method. Bottom up, building complex system by combining simple atomic level component. Mechanical grinding, that is called the top down, and the chemical process, that is the sample is been done in both top down and the bottom up ways. Now, before I go into my next slide, I have a very little story which I want to share with you. Long time back, when I was a PhD scholar working under Dr. Sarkar, he was having a project which was been given to him by DST, and the project name was quasi crystal. And a person is working on that. And in that project, we were using vanadium pentoxide to find out the quasi crystal material. And the vanadium pentoxide particles had been grinded in a very high energy ball mill. And after certain amount of time, say around 20 hours or 30 hours of time, we saw in place of particle going down, the particle size is increasing. We thought, ultimately we got the impression that as the particle breaks down, due to van der Waals forces, it gets agglomerated with another particle and the size of the particle increases. Remember, this is in the year of 1992-93. At that time, the concept of nanotechnology was not there. So we never thought about this thing about nanotechnology. But if at that time really we would have thought it, then we would have been the first working scientific paper which would have come out in the nanotechnology. But at that time, we never thought of nanotechnology. We thought that something else is coming up. So we missed the train. That's a short story which I remembered. So meaning of nanoscale surface area, this is a very important aspect. You see, when we say about that's nano material, nanostructure, the first thing which people say is, as the particle goes down, its surface area increases. Now, that is how you need to visualize it. When you try to visualize it, how a small particle, the surface area of the small particle gets increases, how it is possible. The concept is like this. You see, if I have a 10 micron ball seated on the particular space, the amount of space it is taking is very small. But within that space, I can have 100 to 200, even 1,000 small, very, very small nanoparticles, which will fill up the entire space. That is actually the thing where we're calling the increase of surface area. Because only you see with a big particle, the surface area is, the touching of the plate is very small part. But when you are giving a very, very small particles, the entire space has been occupied and the surface area increases. That is what the people say, the increase in the nanoparticles, the surface area increases. And if I now recall that how the person who got the second prize of Feynman when he wrote one paragraph of the Tale of Two Cities on a pin, now you can see where if that part is very small, even in that small part, the particle with which you can write, those particles, if they become very, very small, then the pinhead becomes very large. So in that case, it is very interesting. It is very easy now to write on the large pinhead a small particles, and you can store those things in a very small part. That is how the idea comes that, with a small on the pin, the part of the Tale of Two Cities, first paragraph of the Tale of Two Cities has been written. Now the size spectrum of the environmental particle, you see the size of the water, there's around 0.2 nanometer, hemoglobin is 7 nanometer, virus, which we are now at this very pandemic situation where we have been enclaved with virus and all those things, you see the size is around 10 to 100 nanometers. Then other sizes, the microbial cells, protozoa is greater than 2 micron, and Fullerene and nanotubes coming into the 1 nanometer size. The beauty is this, the smallest object human eye can see is 0.1 millimeter. That comes out to 10 to the power 5 nanometer. So you can see 10 to the power 5 means 1 lakh nanometer. That means we are nowhere we can see the virus. Nowhere we can see the virus, nor up to 100 or 1 micron we cannot see anything. So that's the basic thing, the human eye cannot see those things. So what is the material behavior at the nano level? At the nano level, material begins to demonstrate entirely new chemical and physical properties. Materials can be stronger, lighter, and highly soluble, reducing of material melting point. Reducing of the melting point, and by manipulating the arrangement of atom, nanotechnology may be able to create many new material and devices. So nanoscience and biological approach, as I have already said in the very beginning, this technology has given a very good thing particularly for the biology, for the life science. Its implication in life science is unthinkable. So far, whatever thing has happened in life science, it's very, very few people really could understood that nanotechnology can be so helpful in the case of life science. That precisely has happened. Human life, a carbon chain from micro to nano. Carbon is a vital element of a human body because of its ability to bond to many elements in many ways. Carbohydrate, lipid, protein, and nucleic acid all contains carbon. We find carbon in everything from cell membrane to hormone to DNA. Carbon versatility means that it is the basis of complex organic compound vital to life, such as the glucose ring, the backbone of the polypeptide chain that form the different protein in the bodies of living things, thereby representing our very own construction on nanotechnology. And what are the nanoscience dimension confined to carbon? The Fullerene, quantum dot, and carbon nanotube. These are the 3 carbon nanoscience scale dimension confined to carbon. Now, what is a Fullerene? The word Fullerene describes a molecule at the nanoscale that is made up of only carbon. It is called C60 buckyball. It looks like a football. Fullerene allows us to build nanostructure, the very foundation of the nano object in question. Synonymous to the construction of the building, Fullerene first lay down the flooring, erect the beam, and set up the walls of nanotechnology so that designer can then set forth to add in the commodities. Badhai Oil Company used it in oil called Techno C60 for surface coating, conductive devices. Water-soluble Fullerene showed activity against AIDS. But let me tell you one thing. Even though discovering of Fullerene fetched Nobel Prize to Professor Kroto, Professor Karl, and Professor Smalley, But this material has very limited use in the nanotechnology field. Because of its closed structure, it is difficult to use fullerene either in solar cell or in other places because charge transport from fullerene to fullerene is a difficult thing to do. So that's the basic thing why fullerene didn't get so much of importance in the nano field. The next one is carbon nanotube, which is the most important of the nanomaterial used so far, and particularly in medical field. It is a sheet of graphene of 1 atom in thickness, well rolled into a tube, create a single wall carbon nanotube. Unlike fullerene, which is spherical, CNT is elongated. Carbon nanotube has diameter as small as 1 nanometer and length up to several centimeters. Carbon nanotubes are strong that are not brittle. It can be bent, and when released, they can spring back to their original shape. This one, the first one, which has been bending, you are seeing this is a single wall carbon nanotube. On the extreme right side, it is a multi-wall carbon nanotube. Now, the question is how to visualize a carbon nanotube. Experimentally, you can find out, you can produce carbon nanotube. But if I say that is it possible to see a carbon nanotube, something in front of you, it's a very crude method. If I say it's somewhat like this, you take a pencil and a paper and just draw a line on the paper, very faint line. Let me tell you, you may not get a single sheet of graphene of 1 atom, but that scratch will give you maybe 2 sheet or 3 sheet of 1 atom graphene sheet, which is actually a multi-wall carbon nanotube. So you see, in nature has given us everything in front of us. The only thing is that we need to have our eyes to find out what actually nature has given to us. So application of this nanoscale dimension material in medical application. This is the most important, as I've already said, that medical and the biology field has got an immense help from this, particularly from this nanotechnology, and carbon nanotube is the most important thing which has helped the medical application. There is still a lot to be learned about the human body, and nanotechnology offers a great advancement to medicine. Nanotube for drug delivery. Advantage: larger inner volume, distinct inner outer spaces with open end, readily taken up, enter cell nuclei, and filling technique: immerse in solution, attach drug to tube walls, fill with particles. That is a smart drug. It has been used for the purpose of smart drug. Professor Suzuki of Kyoto University has designed a novel drug molecule that releases antibiotic only in the presence of infection. This drug was filled in a nanotube and then delivered. The most important thing is the brain cancer. I'm telling you, it's the most shocking and most nasty thing any people can have. If you have this type of disease, the brain cancer, no medicine will help you to cure this one, because of the fact, as you say, as we always, I am saying that the nature is a very, nature has given us all the things which people can have. There is a membrane called blood-brain barrier. This membrane never allows any foreign material to go into the brain. This is the plan. That's the reason why it is difficult for any drug to penetrate this blood-brain barrier and go to brain and then cure that one. This is what actually the blood-brain barrier is. It's a very tight cells sitting on this thing, and through this passing particles through this blood-brain barrier is a very difficult job. What people can do, it will never allow a particle with a size of micron, never. It may allow a particle with a size of 1 micron or 1 nanometer or 2 nanometer. And for that, what it has been done, it is people used to do a focused ultrasound and then you use an intravenous injection to make this blood-brain barrier stretched little bit so that the pore can get elongated and nanomaterial can get injected into that and go to the brain. See what a beautiful thing. If there is no disease, there is no disease because of this blood-brain barrier, it will never allow any foreign material to go into the brain. But if there is a disease and you need to send a foreign material, then the thing which you have to do is you have to focused ultrasound and then make an intravenous injection to stretch that blood-brain barrier, and the holes become stretched little bit, it opens up little bit, and then this nanomaterial goes inside and then target the drug to the brain cancer. Particularly, it is the gold nanoparticles with different sizes. It goes there and then it hits the cancer cell and it kills the cancer cell. This is what it calls a pebble. This is the technology which is coming up. I'm telling you, the technology is in the final stage. It is coming up, and it will be very soon. Those who are attracted by this brain cancer, I think they will get a relief from this one. The third is the cell repair machine, medical nanorobots with a molecular technology and artificial intelligence. It has already come into the picture now. 10 years back, it was a concept, but now it has come into the picture. A system including nanocomputers and molecular scale sensor and tools programmed to repair damaged cell and tissues. A fundamental breakthrough, this machine will free medicine from the reliance of self-repair as the only path to healing. Selective destruction, example, cancerous cell, recognize and destroy a specific kind of cell. Nature's own cell repair machine are limited to their ability. Specification control of Nano Robot. Size is micron scale robot with nanoscale part from 1 to 100 nanometer. The actual machine will be 0.5 to 3 micron. Biocompatibility is passive diamond coating because of its inert nature, not attracted by the immune system. Powering, metabolize, local glucose and oxygen for energy, clinical environmental acoustic energy. Communication, broadcast acoustic type messages, device similar to an ultrasound probe, acoustic sensor, internal communication network. And these are the pictures of how these machines is doing. This is a nano robot. This is the artery cleaner where cholesterol has been deposited and it has been cleaned. And this is the virus seeking probe. And I will show you a video which will give you the idea of how it has been doing. So you have seen how it has been done. I think it is you can, but this is a real fact. Now this type of robots is already there now. So it is not a concept now; it is reality now. So this is another nanoparticles. Nanoparticles used for molecular imaging of malignant lesions, that is the tumor cells. When ferric nanoparticles has been injected into the tumor cells, that is the cancer cells, and when light has been given to on them, it glows, through which the doctors can identify the cell and can do the surgery accordingly. So gold nanoparticle tumor seeking missile, a first clinical trial on the world using gold nanoparticles which act as a tumor seeking missile to remove precisely prostate cancer cell. The nanoparticles are made up of small spheres of silica gray glass wrapped in a thin layer of gold. The nanoparticle get attached to the cancerous cell. With the application of specifically designed laser light, it starts vibrating, which kills the cancer cell while preserving the healthy tissue. There is another video through which I will show you how this drug delivery has been done using nanoparticles. And doxorubicin is basically a chemotherapy drug. And you can see that one, how it has been done. Okay. So now I'm going to the quantum dot, another this thing that is a which we have, I'll said the Fullerene quantum dot and the carbon nanotube. Quantum dot are nano-sized color that can allow scientists to identify objects in a very small scale. For example, quantum dot will someday allow art dealers to mark their special artwork with a unique tiny blot of color that will be nearly impossible to replicate by anyone else, thus putting a halt on forgery. Quantum dot can also allow doctors to mark individual cells so as to keep track of important features such as cancer cell. Changing the color with a quantum dot. This is another video. I am not showing this one. The quantum dot based nanoparticle in the body can identify smaller cancer tumor for better imaging. Moreover, during surgery, the glowing nanoparticle can help a surgeon identify and remove the entire tumor. Quantum dot glows with a particular color with light. Quantum dot is enclosed in a capsule that is usually polyethylene glycol molecule, while traveling through the bloodstream so as to shield the nanoparticle from the body immune system. Next, a young inventor, Justin Hans, making tiny plastic particles to deliver life-saving medicine. Many medication like therapeutic DNA, insulin, etc. enters the body through painful injection. Justin Hans, a 26 years old assistant professor at Johns Hopkins Research Center, packed the drug into a microscopic plastic sphere which can be inhaled. This new type of porous nanopolymer particle capable of releasing drugs in an environment resembling the deep lungs. These nanoscopic particles efficiently deliver therapeutic genes by carrying DNA directly to the cell nucleus. This technique also may prove useful in delivering toxic cancer-fighting drugs only to the cell affected by the disease. Now I am coming to the COVID-19, the great pandemic, how nanotechnology can be an important tool. Despite the ongoing efforts made by scientists and doctors, there exists no effect, no treatment for COVID-19. Antibiotics are not effective against viruses, and antiviral drugs do not show in much benefit. Application of therapeutic nanoparticles has emerged as a groundbreaking in the medical field and allows accurate diagnosis and specific treatment. The small size, low toxicity, electrical charge, and chemical plasticity make it possible to overcome several barriers. Treatment with nanoparticle can target the COVID entry life cycle. Remember, in this particular virus, the S protein is the most important factor in preventing the entry of SARS-CoV-2 via the process of membrane fusion. Thus, therapeutic nanoparticles can be designed to pre-block SARS-CoV-2 entry by inhibiting the S protein from binding to host cell. A few months ago, it's a second trial going on. The first COVID-2 therapeutic drug, dexamethasone, has been developed using nanotechnology. This drug was there in the market, but it was being used as a lung infection and also as a skin infection. With little bit of changing in this drug using a nanotechnology, particularly incorporating nanoparticles, in the case of silver nanoparticles and copper nanoparticles, this drug can be effective tools for COVID virus. And second trial of this drug is going on, and the result which came out is very interesting. Now, this comes to the end of my biological part. Let me go to a little bit of engineering part. Application of nanotechnology to plastic industry, how it started. Since 1950, plastic has grown to a major industry that affects all of our lives. Nylon changed the way people dress worldwide. Teflon became common in crockeries, electronics, bullet-resistant composite, automotive industries. China and India experiencing nearly double-digit growth for plastic material due to improved lifespans. New material platform and process modification continue to emerge in the